So welcome back, 8th graders. I know you guys are ready for our next installment. This is going to be the 8th grade topic of finding the slope of any line, okay, with the equation that we've been studying in class. This equation we've actually just started, and I know a lot of you guys are like, man, I really like those rise over run right triangles that we were making. The right triangles were helping you a lot. So what we did is we took a line, and then if that line was going up from the left to the right, we knew that this line was going upward from the left side to the right side. And so we automatically made a right triangle, and we knew that that right triangle was going to give us a positive slope. And of course, if the line was going down from the left side to the right side, it was going to give us a negative. Well, here's the thing. I want you guys to know that sometimes you're not going to get the line. You're only going to get 2 points. And if you're only going to get 2 points, you don't want to take the time to have to graph this line. So let's say that there's a homework problem like number 1. Number 1 on your homework that's due on Tuesday, because you guys got some homework due on Tuesday, October 31st. It says that your x value is equal to -9, and your y value is actually also equal to -9. You have another point, and this x value is going to go ahead and be -15, and this y value is going to go ahead and be +9. Now, I know some of you guys are like, hey man, there's no picture of a line anymore on a graph. How am I supposed to find the slope? There's a problem. Solved. See, we really don't have a problem. We just solved the problem because we can use this equation instead of drawing a graph, making a graph of a straight line, and then making a right triangle. We don't need to find the run. We don't need to find the rise using a right triangle. What we can do instead is say, okay, I got 2 points here. Let me call this x number 2 and y number 2, and this is x number 1 and y number 1. You see, when you have 2 points, you have 2 x values, and you have 2 y values. Now, I'm going to show you later on that it really doesn't matter which point you want to call x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. You can switch them as long as you use the equation correctly. So here's what you got going on. You're going to take this equation and you're going to say, well, this is equal to my slope. And I'm going to go ahead and say y2. This is equal to -9. So I'm going to put my -9 there. You see that minus sign right there? That minus sign is always going to be on the numerator. You have to subtract y number 1. You called it 9, so I'll put my 9 right here. All right? So all you do is you just take your number and put it in where y number 2. This is called substituting. You have to substitute these numbers where the variables should be. Well, x number 2 goes on the denominator, and when we put -9, we just take it and we put it exactly where it belongs. You guys see these minus signs? These minus signs always belong in the equations. You always have to put them there. And of course, we're going to subtract x number 1, which was -15. Now, it's going to be really important that you guys go ahead and have those notes that we pasted inside of our notebook. You see, we need to know what happens when you subtract a negative number. When you subtract this negative number right here, this actually is going to turn into -9 plus 15. Subtracting a negative in math is the same as adding a positive in math. And of course, -9 take away 9 is actually -18. Well, if you look at your denominator, the bottom of your fraction, this is going to go ahead and be equal to -18 on the numerator, and of course, +6 on the denominator. This is going to give you that your slope is going to be equal to -3. See, a negative divided by a positive is still going to be a negative number. When you have a negative and a positive and you're dividing, it equals -3. Now, I know I told you before that I said that we could switch these numbers and still get the same slope. So I want to show you exactly what I mean. I want to take my -9 and my -9 for x and y. And I want to take my -15 and of course my +9, and I don't want to make them the same points. I want this to be switched. So this is going to be x2 here and y2 here, and this will be x1 and y1. I want to switch them for you, and I want you to see that no matter if you use these points and switch them, as long as you use the equation correctly, you'll get the same answer. So watch me go ahead and use my slope equation. Y number 2 minus y number 1 divided by x2 minus x number 1. If I don't get negative 3, I did something wrong. You know I'm going to go ahead and get negative 3, so you know I'm going to go ahead, because you know I'm pretty much perfect in class, and I'm going to be perfect during this video too, all day long, all right? So, no, I'm just kidding with you guys. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take y2, which is 9, and I'm going to subtract. You always have to remember that this subtraction sign belongs there. Now I'm going to subtract negative 9. You're probably thinking, I don't know, Mr. Gonzalez. I don't know if it's going to come out exactly the same. But yes, it is. I'm going to take negative 15, and I'm going to subtract, okay? And I'm going to take my x number 1, which is negative 9. Now, remember what we said, what happens here. When you subtract a negative, what's that doing? It's really adding a positive. So this is really going to go ahead and give you 18, because this is going to turn into 9 plus 9. When you subtract a negative, it's like adding a positive. This is really going to turn into negative 15 plus 9. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, look, I told you it was different, Mr. Gonzalez. This is 18, because that's 9 plus 9. You got negative 18 before. Hold on. Wait a minute. This is going to come out the same. Just give me a second. This is going to be negative 15 plus 9, which is negative 6. Now, you're probably thinking, that used to be negative 18, and that used to be a positive 6. But we already know our rules for dividing positive and negative numbers. As long as one is positive and the other's negative, when we divide, and that's what fractions mean, we still get a negative 3. The slope is still going to be negative 3. No, I'm just kidding. I just want to mess with you guys some more. Having said that, the slope is exactly the same as long as you use your equation correctly and you don't forget about your rules of math. I'll see you guys on Monday, and we'll be doing some more of these problems in class. Take care. Ms. Ramirez says hello.